What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the game dungeon. Today, I want to show you guys my Octavia Living Thesis EDH commander deck. Definitely one of the more fascinating commanders in my opinion. So I had to build around this creature here. So this creature is an 8/8 creature. The spell costs 8 less to cast if you have 8 or more instant or sorcery cards in your graveyard, and has ward 8, which means you got to pay 8 if you want to target this creature. And then it has Magecraft. Whenever you cast, copy an instant or sorcery spell, target creature has base power and toughness of 8/8. So if you got little creatures, little creatures on the field, pump them up to 8/8 when you cast an instant or sorcery or copy something. All right. So that's the commander there. And then I'll show you the deck, my version of the deck. So let's get rid of all the land here. Just got a bunch of basic lands. That's what's nice about these mono blue decks, or mono deck in general. You could just have basic lands for the most part. The only two non-basics I got: one, Mystic Sanctuary. When it enters the battlefield untapped, you may put a target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard on top of your library. So this is good if you want to get some recursion going on. Okay. And then I have an Ancient Tomb. Add 2 colorless. Deals 2 damage to you. Alright, artifacts. Soul Ring. Rune Chanter's Pike. Equipped creature has first strike and gets X plus O, where X is the number of instant or sorcery cards in your graveyard. So this is a great win con because you're going to have a shitload of instant or sorcery cards in your graveyard. So you can really pump up the jam here with this. And then Isochron Scepter. So when it enters the battlefield, you can exile an instant card with converted mana cost 2 or less from your hand. We have a ton of instant cards with 2 or less from your hand, and then you can pay 2 tap this and then copy the exiled card. So this is a great way just to abuse one of your 2 or less instant cards from your hand. Alright, and we got Gauntlet of Power. This card is amazing in this deck. So you can choose a color when it enters the battlefield. Creatures of the chosen color get 1/1. Whenever a basic land is tapped for mana of the chosen color, its controller adds an additional 1 mana. So you get this on turn 5, and you got 5 blue. Now you got 10 blue. And all your creatures get +1/+1. This card is amazing in here. Gilded Lotus. Pay 5, add 3 mana of any one color. This is great. Magic Mirror. So this is a legendary artifact. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each instant or sorcery in your graveyard. We're going to have a lot of them. No maximum hand size, and at the beginning of your upkeep, put a knowledge counter on the Magic Mirror, then draw a card for each knowledge counter Magic Mirror. So this can get out of hand if left on the field. This will cost significantly less the later in the game. And yeah, this can just get out of hand because you'll just start pulling cards like crazy. You'll get everything you need. Swiftfoot Boots. It's because it's Swiftfoot Boots. Swarm Intelligence. We put this in here because whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you may copy that spell. Choose new targets for the copy. So this is great. If you can get this on the field, you could just start copying all your instant and sorceries. It's going to go great with Magecraft. Start hitting those 8/8s. You got other creatures in here that benefit from every time you cast an instant or sorcery. So this can really synergize well in here. Rhystic Study. Every time an opponent plays a spell, you may draw a card unless they pay 1. So it's going to tax them and keep the cards coming. Back to the basics. This card is great in here. Non-basic lands non-basic lands don't untap during their controller's untap steps. So if you're playing against somebody with multiple color decks, chances are they're running with non-basic lands. This is really going to shut them down as to where you're just going to keep going, because most of the time you're just going to have blue land. It's kind of a mean card. Shark Typhoon. This is great whenever you cast a non-creature spell. Create an XX blue shark creature token with flying, where X is that spell's converted mana cost. So if you can get this down, start casting your instants or sorceries, you're just going to start pooping out a whole bunch of shark tokens. It's wonderful. Mirror Maid. The reason I put this on here is because it enters the battlefield as a copy of any artifact or enchantment on the battlefield. It doesn't have to be one that you control. It could be anything on the field. So this is great because enchantments and artifacts are some of the most powerful cards in the game. They're hard to deal with. Get this out and get yourself something juicy. I mean, if there's a Shark Typhoon on the field, boom, get another one. So, but yeah, that can be super clutch. Now we're to our instant sorceries. Mana Drain, counter spell. Negate, counter non-creature spell. Counter spell, it's counter spell. Rewind, counter target spell, untap 4 lands. That's it. Those are all the counter spells I have in here. You don't want too many because you do want to be able to utilize your instant sorceries to help proc Magecrafts on your turn so you can pump up your creatures. Oh, this is the last one here. Desertion. So counter target spell. If an artifact or creature spell is countered this way, put that card onto the battlefield under your control instead of into its owner's library. So this is great. Some juicy artifact or creature comes out, somebody plays, counter it, steal it. It's yours now. Card's wonderful. It's fun. Visions of Beyond. So we're to our instants and sorceries now. Draw a card. If a graveyard has 20 or more cards in it, draw 3. Chances that we're going to have that many in our graveyard is pretty good. Somebody else could definitely have it too. So it's just a 1-cost instant for draw a card as well. Mystic Confluence. Choose 3. You may choose the same mode more than once. So you have counter target spell. You can do this 3 times. Return target creature to its owner's hand. You can do it 3 times. You may choose the same mode more than once. Draw a card. I could play this and just draw 3 cards. So this is great because you can use this however you need to. So I guess that is another counter spell. Gigadrouse. Tap target permanent, replicate. So this is great because it copies itself basically if you just pay the 1 replicate cost. So play this. You can tap down somebody to get through with your other creatures, proccing Magecraft every time, pumping up the jam on all your little creatures, putting instants into your graveyard, whatever. Into the Royal, return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. If the spell is kicked, draw a card. Fact or Fiction, reveal the top 5 cards of your library. An opponent separates those into 2 piles. Put 1 into your hand and the other in your graveyard. So this is great. It's going to get you some cards. It's going to put cards into the graveyard. So this is wonderful. It's instant speed, Lazotop Plating. This is great because it'll put a 1/1 token on the field and it'll give all your permanents hexproof as well as yourself. So this is a great oh shit card if you want to save your, like, I don't know, whatever you got on the field. Your Shark Typhoon, Gauntlet of Power. Give it hexproof. Dramatic Reversal. Untap all non-land permanents you control. This is just a juicy card because you can use this for a defense. You can use this on your turn if you've tapped out and you want to untap some of your land tapper artifacts. You can use this to pump up your mana ramp or just play for defense. So if you've tapped out Octavia, somebody's attacking you because you're open, untap, block. So it's got some uses. Cyclonic Rift. You basically want to use this for its overload cost. And just, this is a great win con. If you're ready to attack, take all their stuff back to their hand. Rapid hybridization. This is just destroy. Opt. Mystical Tutor. Go get what you need. Leap. Target creature gains flying. Draw a card. You want to give your Octavia flying. Great. Brainstorm. Draw. Just tons of instants and sorceries. Tons of them. Theoretical Duplication. This one is pretty fun. I put this in here for the fun factor. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under an opponent's control this turn, create a token that's a copy of that creature. So if somebody plays a bomb, instant speed, boom, you got one too. High Tide. Until end of turn, all islands produce an additional blue when tapped. So this is great for ramp. It's just for 1 instant too. I mean, amazing. Curate. This is great. You can put 1 into your hand, put 1 into the graveyard. You do want to put instants or sorceries into your graveyard. I don't do much looting in my version, but I do have a small amount of looting because I feel like looting can be pretty bad if you have to discard things that you don't want to discard. There's a lot of things in here you don't. Pongify, destroy, chart a course, draw 2 cards, then discard a card unless you've attacked with a creature. So this one is great. It could be a 2-cost, draw 2 cards. You could also use it to just put an instant or sorcery in your graveyard to help pull Octavia out faster. Artful Dodge, this is wonderful. Give Octavia unblockable, flashback from the graveyard, give it unblockable again. Flood of Recollection, return target instant or sorcery from your graveyard to your hand. The reason why I have this is I'm going to have a ton of instant sorceries in my graveyard, so I can pull one back if I need it. It will also proc Magecraft as well. So, Devastation Tide, return all non-land permanents to their owner's hands with the miracle cost. So we're going to be doing brainstorming and all sorts of scrying and stuff like that. So the chances we get miracle is pretty high. But yeah, this is kind of like an oh shit card, right? So Seagate Restoration, it's just a land. It's a land, or we can draw cards, have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game. It's wonderful. Raven Form, exile target artifact or creature. Compulsive Research, draw 3 cards, then that player discards 2 cards unless they discard a land. This is great if you just get an overload of land in your hand, so you can turn 3, discard a land and get some good stuff you need in your hand. Put a sorcery into your graveyard. Ponder. Strategic Planning, Catexian Probe, Preordain, real cheap, so just tons of cheap instants or sorceries. Get them in the graveyard, keep drawing cards, keep the flow going so you can get Octavia out. Temporal Mastery, so take an extra turn. Miracle 2, this one's wonderful. And Time Warp, target player takes an extra turn, so you can put this in, if you play this, put this in your graveyard. If you have that recursion from the graveyard, you can get it back. Aldrin's Epiphany, take an extra turn, create tokens. Very Fandle. So we're in our creatures now. This has flash and it's flying. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, put a 1/1 counter on Fairy Vandal. We're going to be drawing tons of cards. So this guy can get pumped up every single turn. Yeah. So it's each turn. Gadwick, the Wizened. So this one is great. So when he enters the battlefield, draw X cards. Whenever you cast a blue spell, tap target non-land permanent opponent controls. So when he hits the field, draw, and then when you're casting your spells, you can tap down your opponents. So he is a must in this deck. Beryl, Chief of Compliance. He reduces the cost of instant or sorceries. Whenever a spell or ability you control counters a spell, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. So this guy would make your spells cheaper. If you're countering, you could draw and loot. He's pretty good. Spellseeker, this card's great. Go get an instant or sorcery with converted mana cost 2 or less to put it into your hand. So he's a tutor. Go get yourself something that costs 2 or less. Could be Cyclonic Rift, for example. Thieving Skydiver, this is great because when you kick him, you can gain control of target artifact and opponent controls, and then it's yours permanently. And he's a little chump flyer, so you can pump him up with Octavia. So this guy's got multiple uses. Everybody uses artifacts and commanders, so you can steal something juicy. Sol Ring, whatever. Blighted Agent, this is kind of a win con here. He's unblockable with Infect. So if you can pump the Magecraft up with him, make him 8/8 with 8/8 Infect, throw a Runechanter's Pike on this guy can take someone down very quickly. Archaeomancer, so again, this is just recursion from the graveyard. There's going to be 1,000 instants or sorceries in our hand. Play this guy, he's a chump. He's a 1/2, but we can pump him up, make him 8/8, bring something back from our graveyard. So he's got his place in here. Junkwinder, so this is from Modern Horizons 2, and I put this in here because we're going to have lots of tokens, potentially. And whenever a token enters the battlefield under control, tap target non-land permanent and opponent controls. It doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. So it costs 1 less for each token they control. So chances are we're going to have lots of tokens, so he's not going to cost 7. He could cost a lot less. And then once we get him out with some of the other creatures we have, we can really just start controlling the field. So here's a good example. Nadir Kraken. Whenever you draw a card, pay 1. If you do, put a 1/1 counter on him so it buffs him up and create a 1/1 token. Talrand. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, create a 2/2 Drake creature token with flying. Snapcaster Mage. Can bring back anything we want from the graveyard. Gotta have him in there. Tribute Mage in here. You can go get an artifact card with converted mana cost 2, put it into your hand. So this is Rune Chanter's Pike. This is Swift Boots. This is I forget, but yeah, this is great in there. Murmuring Mystic. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, create a 1/1 Bluebird token. So more token generation. Archmage Emeritus. This card has to be in here. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, draw a card. Dika. This one's great too because whenever you cast an instant or sorcery or copy, create a 0/0 green and blue fractal token. Put X 1/1 counters or X as that spell's converted mana cost. So every time we cast one of our instant or sorceries, if it's a 1-drop, it's a 1/1. If it's a 7-drop, it's a 7/7. So it's kind of like a Shark Typhoon, except they don't get flying. And then, but the other thing is target creature token can't be blocked. So we can target a creature token that we've pumped up with Octavia, make them unblockable. And then we got Teferi, Master of Time. So this guy's great because you can loot, draw a card, discard, or you can make a creature phase out. And if for some reason you can get all the way to the top, you can take 2 extra turns. So he's pretty nice because you can play his loyal abilities anytime you can cast an instant. So this is really nice. So that's the deck. We're going to go ahead and put it together. We'll show you a hand and show you how the deck plays. I noticed a lot of people when they're building Octavia, they have a lot of looting cards. And what I mean by looting is you draw cards, then you discard cards. They'll use cards like Dot Scour or Catalog or things like that, right? Now, I used to run those cards in this deck. However, I noticed that when you play cards like that, you're oftentimes going to discard cards that you don't want to discard. And that is a sad thing. So if you discard your Gauntlet of Power or discard your Magic Mirror or a creature, your Talrand, they're gone, basically. The other thing is getting Octavia out fast is a good thing, but it's not necessarily what you want to go for. Like, that is not the main goal here, is to get her out fast. You can, but even if you get her out fast and you don't have anything to do with her, like somebody can have a Gliss on the field or something with Death Touch, or they can have a small army where you just can't attack, or you'll lose your Octavia, right? So looting has its benefit, but it also has its drawbacks. You don't want to rely on it. I've played this deck quite a few times now, and I've realized that the looting is it's better just to play your cheap instant or sorceries, get them in the graveyard, and then get some really good things on the field that can synergize well to help you win the game. You don't want to rely too heavily on Octavia getting out super fast, is my experience. So I'm shuffling the deck here. I'm trying to show you guys a hand just to see how the deck works. And that'll be the end of the video. So we'll cut the deck here. Draw 7 cards. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Let's see what we got. So, all right. So we got Magic Mirror. We got 4 lands, Dramatic Reversal, and a Mystical Tutor. All right. So I think we'll stick with this. Yeah, we'll stick with this. All right. Let's see. We go first. Nothing to play. We could play Mystical Tutor on turn 1, but we're not going to. We're just going to save it. All right, so we got Rapid Hydration. We got the Rapid. So turn 2, we got that. So here, what we could do if there's a creature on the field, you know, we could blow them up. We could play Mystical Tutor, go get something for our instant or sorcerer if you want to. I'm not sure we want to do that so early. So we're just going to pass turn. Draw another card. Land. 3. If there's a threat, you know, we could play Rapid Hydration. If they're trying to come at us, since we're not... since we don't have any creatures on the field. Next turn. Island. We got 4 mana here. We got 1 instant or sorcery on the field here. So it might be wise here to go get an instant or sorcery from our library. So I would say at the end of the turn, play Mystical Tutor. Right? Then go in here and probably go and get your Time Warp is what I would do. Because it's your cheapest, cast another, or have another, take an extra turn. And that will help get things rolling here. Okay, so we'll get a Time Warp out the deck. Give it a little shuffle. Cut it. Put that on top of your library. It's our turn next. Okay, so we'll draw our Time Warp. We have 5 mana. Tap it all. All right, we'll play Time Warp. Take an extra turn. Untap. Okay, we got more land. So now what we do is we look in our graveyard here. So we now have 1, 2, 3 instants or sorceries, right? So now Magic Mirror costs 3 less. It costs 6. We have 6. So we'll play Magic Mirror, right? And hopefully that doesn't get blown to smithereens. Next turn. Okay, on upkeep, we put a token on him. He's at 1. So we actually draw an additional card, right? Unfortunately, we're just getting land. We're up to 7 land here. And now this is bad because we're just getting so much land. We don't have enough to cast her. We could be dead at this turn. Next turn, it's the upkeep. We're gonna have 2, so we'll draw a card plus 2 additional cards because of Magic Mirror here. So we'll play another land. We're gonna be at 8 land here. So now we have some things going on here. We have 8 lands, so we can play 3 here. We've got Tribute Mage. So when it enters the battlefield, go get a artifact with 2. Put it into our hand. So I think the best card that we can get right now is probably, it's either going to be Runechanter's Pike. Ice-Crown Scepter. We could get Ice-Crown Scepter. But we're not going to. We got Swiftfoot Boots. Let's see. Swiftfoot Boots. So one of those 2, we're going to put those into our hand. I would probably say that Runechanter's Pike's the way to go. Okay. Let's go ahead and shuffle that. Put it down. So we still have 5 mana here. Now we also have Desertion here. So we could pass turn here. Somebody plays a juicy creature artifact. Desertion. Another instant in our graveyard. We're tapped out. So our turn next. So, and then Magic Mirror's at 3 now. So what we're going to do is we're going to end up drawing 3 cards. Plus an additional. So now we have lots of things going on here. So we had a shitty starting hand. Now, if we're still alive at this point, we're doing fairly well now, because what we could do is we could play 1, whoop, play Soul Ring. So we have 2 counters. We also have Mirror Maid, so we could play 3, depending on what's on the field. What we could do here, though, is we could make another Soul Ring. We could make 2 Runechanter's Pikes if we wanted to. But I think what we would do is pay 2. Probably pay the 2 here, Runechanter's Pike. Play the 3 here. Make another Runechanter's Pike if we wanted to. And then we can leave ourselves open for 2 counters. So going around the board, we could rewind something that's a threat, untap our 4 lands, and then we could counter something. So let's say rewind, pay the 4, untap it again, say something else came out, counter, right? Now we're sitting at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, our turn. Now this goes up to 4. The magic mirror goes up to 4 now. So what's going to happen here is we're going to draw 1, 2, 3. So we drew Temporal Mastery on our first card this turn, so we can play it for 2. 4 plus 5 because our regular cards. So this is getting pretty good now. So now we have enough to, let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So technically what we could do here is we have 12. We can hard cast. Yeah, so we can, so now that we have 12 mana, what we could do is we could pay 8 here and 10 here, hard cast Octavia, pay 2, Temporal Mastery for its miracle cost. Take another turn after this. So now we have all this on the field. We also procced Magecraft here, which makes this guy an 8/8. Not sure that we can do anything there, but it's our turn again. Temporal Mastery, and this is where things just get crazy, because with Magic Mirror going to 5 now, if it's still on the field, obviously someone could have blown that up, but now it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus an additional card here, right? So now it's getting out of hand, because now we have Cyclonic Rift. We can bring everything to their owner's hands. We can return everything. So this is just crazy too, because we have Dika, Murmuring Mystic, so we can start dropping this stuff, start creating our tokens. We have Negate in case anything gets crazy. So this is where it just gets way out of hand. We can give Octavia Leap. We can equip the Runechanter's Pike. So at this point, if we paid 4, right, and we equipped 2 Enchanter's Pikes to Octavia right now, right? So 2 Enchanter's Pikes plus 1, 2. Well, this wouldn't be in there. That's exiled. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. She would be plus 12. She'd be a 20 right now. She'd be a 20 right now. We could play Cyclonic Rift Overload, and then that would be 21. Everything's off the field. Boom, somebody's dead. So anyway, guys, that's the deck. It wasn't the best start. You can get a much faster start if you actually starting off with things like Barl, who's a 2 cost, some of the cheaper costing things, like if you get Factor Fiction, Artful Dodge, Behold the Multiverse, Strategic Planning, Opt, Catexing Probe, all those things that can get your hand going faster is always better. But that's the video, guys. I hope you like the deck. Check it out. Any recommendations are always welcome. I've played this deck a bunch. It's awesome. It's fun. Peace.